right, so it's Tuesday, October 24th. And believe it or not, if you look at our dates, we have.
Today is Tuesday.
Thank you. Okay, so we are closing in on, we have about one more month of class. That's really it. And then it's finals week. So we are closing in on our final project for class. And I know I've explained this to you many times. I keep updating this class website, trying to clean it up and figure out what is most beneficial for all of you. Okay, do I have y'all with me? Next week I'll bring candy, okay? Next week's Halloween, by the way, just so you know. All of you will be here for Halloween, right? Really, I got nods from you guys. We can leave early because you probably want to go do something, right? Probably. Yeah, do you guys do stuff on Halloween? Okay, all right. For the rest of the semester, we are going to work on the ad campaign team project that we talked about last week when we talked about, here's the overview. We talked about these areas. Don't tell me I didn't upload this. Oh, no, I did. And we talked about the different public service campaigns that you would all be working on, all right? And what I want to do for you today, along beside you, is lay out all the parameters of the project. I think it's a little confusing, and if it is, I want you to help point it out to me so I can clean it up so it's not confusing, okay? I need your help with this because I inherited a lot of stuff that I've cleaned up already, but I want to make sure it's super clear. So everybody knows a public service campaign is basically a public service message that gets free advertising space because it's a nonprofit organization. Yeah? Okay. So it can often be underwritten by corporations. It can be funded by charitable donations. It could be funded by the government. It could be funded by all of the above. So for this campaign, there's a large scope to it. And our website has a large number of resources that I continue to pare down, to tell you the truth, because some of them I think are a little chaotic in the way they're organized. There's one link here called, let's see, I think that's the page I'm on. Okay, let's go backwards. I already know this needs to be fixed if I can't find it. What is an advertising campaign? Let's see if that's the link we want. No. All right, it showed up earlier. We'll get there. It may be on the assignment sheet, on the assignment page. Let's just see if that's the case. It showed up so often, I probably deleted it so much that it'll never show up again. Hang on. All right, we'll come across it. There's so many links. So the ad campaign is this basically. It is your semester-long project. You're going to create a campaign that is all-inclusive. It's going to be, let's go scroll down to the bottom so you have a visual for it. It's going to be print media, 2 different types of print media, which might mean a magazine ad, it might mean a newspaper ad, it might mean a a billboard. It might mean a direct mail brochure. It might mean collateral material like a brochure. That would all be the print media for the campaign, okay? Ads and a brochure about it. Because it's a public service campaign, you would have a call to action, which means you want to raise awareness, but you probably also want to raise action, either volunteering or change in a behavior, or pulling out a check from your pocket and writing a donation. Those are all different calls to action in different ways, right? You understand call to action? Perfect. Okay, so you understand it. So you'll also include in your campaign social media. That would mean Instagram, Facebook, tweeting, whatever it is that you can use, hi Julia, whatever it is that you can use the same theme, the same brand in social media. You'll create a viral ad, which would be from social media, or a video or something, which is often similar to, guerrilla advertising. Has anybody learned this term, guerrilla advertising? You all have, and the truth is I've never used it before this. Who wants to define guerrilla advertising? Do you? Yeah.
It's basically like an interactive advertisement, where you basically make it on like a tunnel or a fountain, and it's part of an advertisement, but you just like touch it and go through it, basically interact with it.
What a great description. So it's something that catches you by surprise. It's something you can participate in. It's often something that doesn't cost you any money, right? There's no money relationship to it. It's something that catches people off guard, but gets them to participate in some form. That's great description, great description. And you'll also create a video. It's interesting, my brother-in-law he's a commercial producer. He produces commercials. And I think some of you, I've shown you his commercials that he produced for the Super Bowl, like a Dove ad. Maybe any of you know that? I didn't show you for the class. No? Okay. Well, one of the things we talked about at the beginning of the semester when we talked about like Super Bowl ads, for example, is we talked about how they post the Super Bowl ads now before the game. So you can create that viral energy for the ads, right? So that ad, that viral video ad, they want you to get hooked into. They want you to be excited. They want you to pass it along. And they do want to air the video, for example, on television if you have the budget, but they also want you to air the ad on the internet, and they want it to catch on like wildfire where you pass it along. So the video that you create for advertising, you get to decide what that looks like. So these are all the elements that you're going to include in your advertising. You might have flashing banner ads that show up on, like, for example, you all get ads on your Facebook pages, right? You might have a pop-up ad when you go to a web page. People pay for that. Any way that you can think to cleverly market something is all part of this campaign. I want you all to think out of the box. You can certainly do billboards and point to purchase and displays. Point to purchase when you're at the checkout register and there's a coin box for the Leukemia Society, or I don't care what you think of, the sky is the limit. The more you include, the more you expand your campaign. It costs you nothing. So to think broadly and how you can promote it is up to you and your team. So the way this is going to work, well, and then here I'll let you look through this, how we define print media, how we define social networking, how you can create viral advertising. These are all links down here on this homepage for the ad campaign, and guerrilla ad inspiration. These are all links that you and your team or you and yourself can look through to get inspiration. As I told you, I'm sorting through our website a lot. So let me come back to home here in this. There were endless links, and it was hard to organize them because they're all designed to inspire you. So throughout our class, we haven't gone back very much to our website, but all of these are here for you to click on and say, oh, cool, that's inspiring. It's been sorted for you to decide if it interests you. And as we get closer to the projects, there's more resources for you, how to pitch your campaign to your client, and how you wish to sell it, and different perspectives. I mean, it's endless, the sources of inspiration. This is interesting. The Ad Council has a list here. I think this is wonderful personally. A list of all these public service announcement ads that you can look at and learn more about. There's another link here. I'll come across it in a second. But all of these links on the left side of the page, which are under the read category for all of you, are for you to look at to get inspired. Okay? That's why I left them there. I don't want to lecture from them because I figure you can do this yourself. Okay, that is not what I want. I will find this. Oh, this is it. Marketing campaign case studies. This all tells you the marketing campaigns for all these different corporations shown on the side. So you can see how they built it and they branded it, and also designed to have you step up the professionalism of the approach that you take. So let's look at Amazon, for example. Here's the overview. It's not very pretty to read, but it helps you understand how you write basically a design brief, your process for this. What's the overview? What's the historical context, the target market, the type of campaign they come up with, their marketing strategy, and a summary of the outcome. This is the kind of information in a much more attractive delivery that you'll include in your individual design brief and your team design brief. For a lot of you, when we had a team project, I know team projects can be hard, right? Because different people have a different style or a different way of presenting the work. The goal here is that the crux of this campaign, the crux of what you're going to be doing, is that you're going to be the ad agency. And so actually what I'd really like to do is talk about the different roles there are in ad agencies, if you're familiar with it. Has anybody had a conversation about how ad agencies are structured? Yeah, no? That means no, right? All right. So ad agencies basically have different departments in them. They have the creative people, which is really kind of what I feel like all of you are training for. You're the ones who want to create the graphics, do the art, develop the campaign, right? And that's a team. So there's a creative team. There's also an account team, account management team. There's an account management team who woos the client. You wine me and dine me. I'm the client, you wine me and dine me, okay? You make sure that my needs are met, the phone gets answered when I place the call, and you find out what my needs are. And basically, you find out what my needs are, me, the client, you find out what my needs are, and then you, being the account manager, communicate that to the creative team, right? There's also a traffic department at an ad agency. And traffic basically is the scheduler. They're the inflow and the outflow of all the materials. They decide when the newspaper ads are going to be placed, what the deadline is. They'll tell the creative team what the deadline is. They'll make sure that everything happens as it should in a timely manner, okay? And then there's the support staff to all that, because in the creative team here, you'll have people that are good at writing copy. They'll be coming up with the taglines, they'll be coming up with the text, they'll be coming up with the word content. Then you'll also have the creative team will come up with the concept, and it'll be executed by both the copywriter and the creative artist, the graphic artist. They'll be the ones to create the work, right? The concept, they'll make it come alive. They'll also be, for example, the videographer, the person who does the filming, who creates the film commercials, the artist, and in that there'll be an artist for creating, running out of space, right, too big, run out of space. But there's storyboarding, illustrations, there's copywriting in that. It's all interconnected. But basically, that's what comprises an ad agency, and that's what you're going to do. You're going to do all functions of it. You know, you might find that you love the creative process, but you might find that you're best at working with clients and getting them excited and communicating ideas and hooking them and doing that personal relationship. But maybe you freeze when it comes to doing the artwork itself, right? So you'd still be in advertising, but you might have a different niche for it, right? But you as a team are going to start to decide on the campaign that you wish. We'll divide you up. You'll decide on the campaign you wish to work on. And then you're going to do the entire process incredibly thoroughly, because this is like I said, it's a month-long project. And you're going to include, you're going to brainstorm as a group. And then you're going to create an individual process book, each of you, for the entire process of the campaign, all the elements, all the components of it. Even if some of the information was gathered as a team, you'll include it in your process book, okay? So you need to work together for all of that. And then how you decide to work on all the elements of the campaign, all these elements down here, whether you do the print or the social media, or you do the videography, or you do the storyboarding, or you do the brochure design, all of you have to work hand in hand, and it all has to look cohesive because you're an agency for one brand. Okay? Y'all with me on this? All right. There is here last week. When you work for any client, there we go. This looks like it's long, but it's really not. When you work for any client, you're basically creating a brand. You're creating an identity. And although you might have a public service campaign that you're working on that has some public face that you're familiar with, your purpose as a group is to work on this and give it a fresh look, not an old twist. Dan and I actually had this conversation today of we don't want to be doing work that's already been done. You know, you are the new blood in the world, all of you guys are the new blood in the world, and you need to put a fresh face to it. And what you're going to create out of having this full campaign is to show, if this is the industry you wish to be in, is to show this industry that you can think new and you can think fresh. You know, nobody wants something that's stale or has already been there, right? And that's why we do this kind of as a group conversation, a group process, to help increase your juices for it. So what we want to talk about is how you would build your brand, whatever it is, whether it's a nonprofit or you're selling a new invention of something called an apple, like the kind you eat. So brand is not the logo, right? So if I talk to you about Nike, what do you guys think of? You see swoosh, the logo. What else? What's the tagline?
Just do it.
Just do it. You think of the tagline. What else do you think of?
Shoes.
Shoes. Exactly. What else do you think of?
Jordan.
What?
Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan, a figure A public figure. What else? Scott, what do you think of Nike? Sports in general, right. It's the brand. The brand is a sports brand, right? This is not the brand. This is a playoff. Do you know why this is funny? There's an artist named Magritte. I got to show you this in context so you understand it. Magritte was a surrealist painter. And he created a painting. And in French, here it is. The painting says, I don't speak French. Anybody speak French here? Well, okay, this is French for this is not a pipe, right? That's the humor. That's the context for, I never know how to get out of this. There we go. I got out of it. Okay, that's the humor of this. This is not a brand. In other words, we're talking about a whole image, not just the logo. And a brand is not an identity. And that what they showed you is an identity system. How many of you in here are familiar with identity systems? This is important to this conversation. Okay. Will you make a note of that for me? Identity system. I need to teach that. Okay. You basically have been creating identity systems for a while. And I will show you that as a part of your campaign, you will be creating an identity system for your new brand. You'll also be creating a logo for it. And a brand is not necessarily a product, like just soap or shoes or whatever. Well, what is a brand? A brand is what we associate with a company or a purpose or a message, right? A brand is how people feel. So when I described Nike, you said sports because your feeling in it was it's every which way of sports. And it was Blair's tagline of, and when you think of just do it, does it mean it's only about sports?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily. It's a way of thinking, really. It's a way of stepping out in the world. And our gut feelings, a person's gut feeling, because brands are identified by people. We forget that. Sometimes we like to make things that are pretty, and we don't think about who the audience is who's viewing it or receiving it. So every time you talk to anybody, when you're doing any kind of advertising or wanting to create any public message, it's not for the masses, even though they might fit, even though you might be addressing millennials, which are masses, you're really addressing the individual person who happens to be 27, who happens to be a mountain climber, who happens to have a certain characteristic. But that person is a millennial. But if you speak broadly, you're not going to touch that one individual. You got to decide who you're speaking to. It's a gut feeling because people are emotional and they're intuitive, and that's how we operate. So in other words, it's not what you say it is, it's what they say it is, right? So how you talk about a product or a brand or an identity or a thing, it's like if I talk about Apple computers to you guys, or if I talk about just Apple in terms of Apple, the company, what colors do you associate with it? Red? Apple red? Apple mean like a red apple, a real eating apple, or the company apple? The actual apple. And if I talk about the company apple, what color do you associate? White. Anybody disagree with that one? No. Okay. And what else do you think when you associate Apple, the company?
People with blue shirts.
People what?
People with blue shirts.
Do they have blue shirts?
I mean, they do at the Apple stores.
They do? Are they all blue? Is that true? So you associate how they look. So Apple, the company, do you think of innovative? Do you think of cutting edge? Do you think of you think of high-end technology? You think in terms of their whole spectrum of products and how they are in the world, right? All right. So when you create a brand, why you make a brand is you want to narrow things down. If you have a shelf of similar products with similar features, why will you choose to buy a specific brand? So if you could buy any of these cameras, which has so much noise on a shelf, why will you reach for a specific brand, right? So your branding, your marketing campaign, your positioning of that product or that company or that message is what's going to sort out all the noise from all the other people, all the other products, all the other companies, and call you emotionally to that brand. And how do you decide that? Well,
interesting prices on those.
Yeah, it was a really old photo.
Okay.
Yeah. It's who you can trust. It's what you intuit your way through. It's either you've learned about it through constant advertising, but you have a core belief that that product is something you can put your faith in. You're going to drop a lot of money on it. You got to put your faith in it. So you want to know that the company, I don't know how to get rid of this bottom part. Does anybody know how to do that? No. Let's make it smaller. We'll do it that way. So trust comes from meeting and beating customer expectations. So if you have success with a product, you will share it, communicate it, right? All right. I'm not going to walk through this whole thing because I think I'm going to lose you guys. I can tell it's so warm and still already. I want you to go through here and start to understand what the brand does, how you create a brand, how you build a brand, how you answer all the brand questions. This right here, which we found on the website under the brand gap in Unit 9, is what you should continue to look through so you're confident that you know what you're going to do as you build a brand. Okay? So as a team, you're going to choose what public service announcement you want. Let me talk to you about all the elements that are going to go into this. All right? I cancel website campaigns. We did that one. So I said I got to organize this better. Define. Okay, this is what I wanted. Define the brand. It's interesting. This campaign. Can you write define the brand for me, please? This is the site that talks about how to build a brand, how to create the brand definition, how to create characters in a brand, how to define the brand's personality, how to create the brand story. Everything has to have a story. It's not like you're making a one event poster or one billboard. You have to create a story and a feeling and create an emotion and create an individual person's attachment to what you're communicating with them. Okay? That's what's going to create your brand. Each of these are links, and it very succinctly walks you through how to create brands. This link, as a group, you should all look at on your own, because I don't want to walk you through it, because it's great supportive material on how you can build a brand. It's like everybody knows her nowadays, right? She's a brand. She's become an identity. I mean, that face, she's not famous. She's not Michael Jordan, right? She's not Michael Jordan, but they built a brand with her. It's almost like you can meet her at the grocery store and you say, oh, you know exactly who she is, right? Or my brother-in-law, who does these web commercials, he does Travelocity. You see, this is, I think it's Travelocity. Who has the owl in their advertising? You don't know the owl.
I think it is Curiosity.
Okay, thank you guys. Is it TripAdvisor? Okay, it's TripAdvisor. Okay, so TripAdvisor has an owl. So he started doing all these commercials with this owl, which is pretty funny because they do it all on green screen, of course. Yes, Garrett.
I think there's another product that has an owl for like face. Or,
Do you know what it is?
yeah, it's for like some kind of allergy pill.
Oh, I don't know it. Okay.
I don't know the actual name of it, but it's basically an allergy medication and has an owl for like its brand.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Okay, so maybe you'll come up with it. Which communicates wise. I think it has to do with like, maybe it's an MD website or something. No? Anyway, it doesn't matter. I don't want to digress too much, but thank you. So why I'm showing you this site here is there are a load of resources to help you formulate your story, to help you develop your campaign, to help you put your heads together and develop it. And then how do you start to enhance your identity and create a brand campaign out of it? So whether it's billboards or it's television commercials or it's just an image of the person or whatever it is, you're going to develop a complete brand. Now, most corporations have what's called a brand identity system. Let's go brand identity guidelines. And you could Google brand identity guidelines. Anybody have a company they want a brand identity guideline for? Here's Skype. We'll use Skype. There we go. I have no idea. There's also a link I think I gave you. Let's download this. So brand identity guideline tells anybody who markets the brand in any which way how the brand is used. And you as a team will create a brand identity set of parameters. So for example, you'll start to design the logo and how the logo is used in print and how the logo is used on the screen. So here's the Skype logo, all right? And then it's going to start to tell you about how much space you need around the logo. Is the logo on a busy background? The green is like, yep, that's good to go. The red checks are, you may not do that. You may not drop shadow the logo. You may not put somebody's face showing through the logo. These are brand identity guidelines. Every company has a brand identity guideline book. If you're a graphic artist and you like designing logos, when you're done designing a logo for a client, you'll create a brand identity guidelines publication, just like what you're looking at. And they're big money. These aren't logos that are $100 logos, because imagine the time it takes to create a book like this, but this is what you'll end up creating. You'll tell anybody in the company or anybody who uses the company logo what font you use, how it's kerned, what colors are acceptable, what typeface you use for body copy, what typeface you use in what situations for headlines, what your color palette is, what tints you're going to use, if you look here, you'll define the Pantone color, you'll define the hexadecimal color, which is what's used on the web, what the RGB mix is, what's used on the web for the color, and what tints are acceptable to use. So this says those are the blues you can use for Skype, and there's the cool gray Pantone number 9 you can use for the typefaces. What did I say? Cool gray, the logo is blue and the type is gray. I said it backwards, I think. When they have a rainbow in the Skype logo, let's get smaller here. When they have a rainbow in the Skype logo, these are the colors you can use, and it calls them out. They have a tagline. This is how the tagline is shown, and it's always used with a trademark. This is new information for all of you guys, right? Interesting, right? All right. So every time you create a logo and you want to do it professionally for a company that's more than just a little mom and pop shop, this is what you'd be doing. It tells you how to typeset in what font the tagline. If it's to the right of the logo, below the logo, if it's the cap height of the logo, right? It tells you exactly how to use it. And that's so things don't look funky. It also tells you how much space, relationship-wise, you have between the tagline and the logo. They give you a measurement, and it's consistent. So anytime you look at any product that's branded with this logo, it's a consistent brand. We'll keep going just so we cover all the bases here. Same thing. If it's in different languages, how it's handled, and different typefaces in different languages. Okay, so let's see what clouds are. Okay, so clouds are acceptable graphics, and then they tell you how to make the clouds. That's really trippy. I've never seen that, actually. And those clouds emulate the circles of the Skype logo, which is how it was made, right? Did anybody ever see how the Twitter logo was made?
The word?
Yeah. Oh, I like that. It's kind of interesting. It's a little more elaborate than I would ever expect, but let's see if I can pull this up. This might be it. Here's their logo. Huh. Here's all their variations, right? And this is how they built their logo using their vector. Isn't that a trip? I think it's really trippy. It's worth having seen this, I think. Other concentric circle logos, the Pepsi logo. So when we think we can't draw, right? Oh, I can't draw anything. Everybody can draw a circle. It's all about seeing the positive, negative space and the relationships. Anyway, I won't digress on that one. So, let's go back to this. Here we go. So then it shows you can't have cumulus clouds, nimbus clouds, stratus clouds. You can only have Skype clouds, right? That's it. And what's acceptable is just this one. So this is, I'll let you finish going through this. I don't have to do them all. But in other words, you would create a brand identity guidelines book. You also, when I've created a brand identity guidelines book, I've also set up how people use their letterhead, their stationery package, how they formulate their letters, what type they use, what their spacing is. I've given clients style sheets for any correspondence they have. They'll print their letterhead and they'll generate it on paper using Word, and I'll have created style sheets for them that way. These are the embellishments. These are the illustrations that Skype provides their advertisers, for example, to use. So I'm not going to keep going through that, but that's a brand identity book. There's 93 pages here. See if you get to anything else interesting. Oh, here's the rainbows, right? That's kind of interesting. And then what they do is they also create a book on who their target market is, what their look is, how people are photographed, what these photographs are going to look like, what personality they have, how people are shown, what's a lifestyle. You have to visualize who your customer is, who your target market is, in order to know who you're talking to. If you can't create this vision of who you're talking to, then you're not going to hit home who you're advertising to, right? How I advertise to all of you will be really different than how I advertise to somebody maybe in another country or to somebody of a different age, right? So photography, let's see. I'm going real fast for you guys. You get the idea, right? So you can have fun looking at this. You can pick any company you're interested in and find their branding guidelines because they're available. And those branding guidelines need to be defined by your group first, because if you decide, for example, one of you is going to do a brochure and somebody's going to do a social media campaign and somebody's going to do all billboards and posters and other things, everybody has to have the same brand guidelines to know how to be consistent, right? All right. Let's see. So that's branding guidelines. I do want you, again, right here, for the individual independent work, review this defined brand, which is it's called AdCracker. It's a silly name, but they have really good references on how agencies work. And I want you all to start doing research, and we're going to keep working on it in class. And I'm imagining that you're all going to have to find a way to network with one another outside of class, even if that's, getting on FaceTime or Skyping or Google, what's it called? Google Chat conversation? What's it called? Google Chat. However it is you meet to keep things moving forward. I don't want anybody to feel that they're held back by somebody else in their group, but that means that everybody in the group needs to step up the game to support one another, okay? John and I are your client, so we're going to be, whatever campaign you are developing, you're going to be pitching us, right? We're going to be asking questions. We might be a hard sell. And if it doesn't resonate with us, then as a team, everybody on the team has to be clear to answer the questions. Okay? All right. The parameters, again, so the parameters to get this started are, you're going to, this week, you're going to start to decide what your group is. And let's see, your schedule and your deadlines. So you're going to meet, you're going to decide who's your creative director, who's taking notes, how you're going to divide all the work and the process, who's going to research what. You're going to start to do all of the elements to create your brand, which would be starting with a logo design and a tagline, all the kinds of things that you started when you did the billboard, right? And I'd like to tell all of you that one concept doesn't cut it. My rule of thumb would be to have 5 concepts. You might have 2 that are really strong, but you should always be presenting 5 good concepts that you all feel strong about, right? Because if you have a true brand, they'll start to tumble on top of one another, I think, honestly, for all of you. Then you're going to think about the personality of your campaign. You're going to research your target market. You're going to decide what type of symbol or logo you're going to create or use. You need to have a brand story. What's the basis of your campaign, whatever that is? What's the story you get to tell? How do you connect to the individual, not the masses? And then who's your individual you're connecting to? You're going to create a design brief as a group. You're going to determine your media you use, which niches in print and social media and video and guerrilla advertising. All of that's going to be decided as a group, right? everything, all the time, you're going to be checking into your group to make sure you're on target and you're at the level of professionalism that's expected of you. You should determine for each area who's the person who's the team leader in that area. Like, you will all collectively do it, but one person may take the lead in one area, one person might take the lead in the other. Each team member is responsible for designing a minimum of 2 people while helping with the video and the guerrilla ad, which is far more social and out in the world in a much larger scale. Okay. Your video needs storyboarding. So again, 3 to 5 concepts that you storyboard. You decide who's going to sketch out the concepts and describe it. Is there anybody in here who hasn't done storyboarding before? So everybody understands storyboarding, right? So how come I'm never quite sure? Storyboarding is very simply creating a sequence, telling the story, creating a little cell that discusses it, whatever that is. It also, don't forget, changes points of view. This is a good example, maybe. You're here, you're there, you're here, you're there. You have an aerial view, you have an up-close view, you have a different perspective. Don't always just look at everything from one point of view, and don't video something from only one point of view. So you'll have a leader again for your video. You'll have specific team members. That's what all that says. Let's see. Ultimately, you're going to submit everything from these categories here, right? The print, the social, the viral, the video. That's all going to be evaluated. It's professionalism at the end of class. But for each week you come to class, you're going to continue to work on it together. You're going to continue to present it and pitch it. So for example, next week, your team will have started the first steps here, which is, the first step is your first client pitch. You need to have your pitch printed, your design brief printed to bring to the meeting. Okay, and the meeting here is in class, and the meeting's basically with John and I. I haven't decided if it should be a whole class meeting or you guys can use your time better on your own, and then John and I just meet with each group at a time, which allows you more work time instead of, I think you guys get tired of just sitting. Yeah? So it'd be better to use it as work time when you're together in class. Is that fair to say? Okay. So then you'd pitch it to John and I. We might help troubleshoot anything with you, see if there's anything that you might want to refine, and then you'll go refine it, and then you'll come back the following week and you'll have developed more storyboards for your video. You'll have your logo honed in on. You'll keep making progress. Okay? And so I don't want to overwhelm you, because I think if I go through this whole list, it'll overwhelm you. So this is the main link for the ad campaign, called ad campaign, found here, assignment, if you can't get to it from the website, assignment, ad campaign. There, and you'll see, you can look right now at the ad campaign uploads. Each of you is going to submit your own process book. And that process book should be as professional as the Skype branding guidelines. I think all of you are now kind of in sync with what your process book should be, the level of professionalism of it. It's not a Google Drive, it's not a Google Doc, it is a book. And it will be presented as a physical book that you will have printed. And I don't know that any of you will have time to have it printed like at MagCloud or something like that. You decide how you're going to print your presentation of your process book, okay? And then you're going to have all the elements of the campaign to upload at the end of the semester. I don't know why this says class meets May 4. I don't understand that, but it's due December 1st, which is the last week of class. And then we'll all present the campaigns during finals day, okay? because things are going to go screaming fast for us. I think December 6th, I'm not sure which date our final is, but I think it's like December 6th. And we have the week of Thanksgiving, so you guys kind of vanish, which is really the last week, right? I mean, everybody vanishes. For Thanksgiving, you might go home. So you really want to be done before the last week in November with everything, so you're golden. Everybody get that? All right, that gives you perspective. The truth is we've taken a little bit more time, I think, in class for all the projects and refining them, which I think is good, because I think you all have work to be proud of. Is that fair to say? Okay. So you can see you're going to have a lot to do in these weeks. All right. So that being said, if you click here on the ad campaign, here's a description of a process book, the ad campaign process book. Here, for example, is one student's ad campaign on dog shelters. You can see the logo development. You can see the digital work. You can see here, just with how they handle this, the start of a branding guidelines chart, right? This isn't as thorough as the rest. You decide how far you want to carry it, but it sure helps you understand it. Then you start to see their campaign, how it's used. Remember, you're going to have limited color palettes, just like you always do. And this is pretty small scale. I kind of expect more. We're not looking at the video, but you can start to look through these. These are classes that I have not taught that have submitted work in the past. Nice logo, right?
Looks like a movie.
Yeah, it does. It does look like a movie title. Here's the design brief. It's included the sketches for the character, perhaps, different logo designs that came out of it, or you can come through these. You don't need me to show it, but you need to include every element. So each person, if one of you is working on the storyboard and the video with another person, or getting it started and bringing it to the group and saying, here's my ideas, and then the group feeds into it. Whatever you're responsible for, you need to make accessible to everybody in the group, because everybody's work is included in your individual process book. Does that make sense? So even if you didn't do the storyboarding, here's the storyboarding our team did. Here's the concept. Here's how we executed it. Here's what we did. Right? Okay. Any questions about all that? That was a big, yeah.
What's the difference between the group process book and the individual one?
The group process book is, you're going to meet with me John and I, next week. That's the start of your process book. That's basically the design brief that the group's putting together about your concept, your logo, your tagline, your target market, your marketing overview, the research you've done on the campaign, your support information. All of that's going to be group.
But what about what's going to make the two different? Because that's not also going to be in the individual one.
Yes, it is. So you're going to gather that information, and it's probably not going to be very pretty. And you might make your process book really different than Dan's process book, because you both have different design styles as designers. So you're going to make your process book authentic to you, but you're going to include all of the group materials in your personal process book, because the process book should look incredibly professional. It should be a publication of its own that stands on its own. I don't know who's, I'm just randomly looking at these. This isn't how you'll send it to me. I'm going to receive one in my hand. It's going to be printed. It's going to be presented professionally. I mean, I'd already nailed a person for not aligning their bullet points here. That's not professional. That should have an indent and a line under the number 76. That's the way you professionally set this page up. Is everybody following me? You learned that all in typography, all of you. So you, for example, might have caught all of that and said, oh, that's not acceptable. That's not the way I present my process book. I tidy that up. Where somebody else might not have the eye for it, or the patience to pursue it. And that's why you have your own personal process book. Because if everybody turned in a process book and it wasn't the way you were up to your standard, you would be frustrated, right? So what I hope is everybody's standard and bar is that high, and all the materials you support one another with is that high, but the way to tie it all together is in your individual process book. Does that clarify that? All right. It's, I think group projects are great for brainstorming, right? But I think it can also be frustrating. And I think it gives you more power to have your own individual process book that you're submitting at the level of professionalism that you wish it to be. Yeah? Yeah. Okay. So there's so much material to go through here. You can look at all these. This is a link to design briefs. This is nothing you all haven't seen. You've all seen this. In your design brief, you're going to have the research, your objective, the format of your advertising. So print, video, we've already defined it for you. Billboards, shelters, who's your target market? What are your concepts? What are your slogans? This was designed for something else. If you want to go into advertising and you want to look at budget campaigns, theoretically, what the heck? Throw in a budget for it. What the heck? You have nothing to lose. When you create a campaign for a client, basically you also include a schedule. When you're going to deliver the materials, what date they're going to be delivered, what the budget is, how much money gets allocated to what area. If you're into pie charts, you can make a pie chart. We're spending 42% on print media. We're spending, 37% on guerrilla campaigns and 10% on social media, and the rest is charity boxes at the grocery stand. I don't know what it is. You guys get to decide, but that I'm going to leave that bar that you set as high as you want it to be. Like I said, back to which page do we have? This page. There are so many resource links on advertising and all these links on the left. Come through them. They're there to inspire you. They've been filtered out already. They'll help you. The power of branding, working with a designer, all of these things. Packaging. I would create products, branded products. Let's say your campaign is for the Humane Society. That's not one we really picked, but for the Humane Society, maybe you decide that one of the campaigns I had to do was for a veterinary hospital, and one of my one of the outdoor media I had to do was where you pick up those doggy poopy bags. You know what I'm talking about, you guys? There's a display right above where you get the plastic bags for your dog, and it advertises whatever it is, or the bags themselves might be just imprinted. You decide what's appropriate for what you're doing. If you're saving the whales and you're worried about them getting caught in fishing nets, maybe you have Swiss Army knives with the logo on it because you want everybody at the ready to save somebody, right? You get the gist. Or the birds who get tangled up in the 6-pack plastic Coke can things, right? You get the drift. You decide. The bigger, larger, more extended the campaign, the more capable you look as a designer, and the more confidence you instill in a potential client of what you can take on. Cool? All right. So, questions? Okay. We will come back to class each week to continue to work on this. Each week I will continue to highlight something, if there's something special. This is a link to cool packaging. you guys can swim around on the internet just like I can. We've just filtered a lot of this out for all of you so you can get sparked by some ideas. Okay? All right. So where we go from here then is basically to decide how we divide up groups. There's some people missing today. And let's see. This is the process book information. Let's go to the campaign. Team project. Okay. These are your 4 links of how things are graded, what your rubrics are. Here's the rubric for your presentation. Oh, and the third part is the day of finals week. You have a team presentation slideshow where you present to the rest of the class your campaign. That needs to be professional also. So once you've developed all these elements, you've developed your concept as a team, you've developed a team presentation for next week to pitch your concept to John and I, and the rest of the class will be working on their stuff. Then after that, you're going to pitch all your more refined work the following week. You're going to have more extended materials of this is the concept for the print, this is the concept for the video, etc. Then once it's all created, oh, there's a typo. Once it's all created, I hate how I see that stuff. Once it's all created, ultimately during finals week, you're going to have already printed your individual process book. You as a team will have a slideshow presenting all your materials. So you will, in your process book, of course, have photographed professionally all your marketing materials. Yes. You'll have an interactive link in your PDF also to your video that you've uploaded so people can see it. You can make a Facebook page that you can make private, but it's a bogus Facebook page, in the sense that it's private and you can use that as your social media campaign. Why not? Right? It's free. So all those things is what you'll end up sharing as you present the last day of class, which is your team presentation. Okay? And that presentation would be an interactive PDF, and you upload that PDF. Okay? And yes.
Will the presentation be similar to the process book in terms of what we are actually presenting?
I'm going to leave that to your team, because what you put in your process book will be all the same information as somebody else, but maybe with a different perspective. So your presentation might be completely product driven, as in, here's our public service organization. Here's the message. Here's the targeted market. Here's the budget we had to work with. Here's the area we wish to reach, whether it's Santa Barbara or it's worldwide, whatever it is. Here's the ways we reach them. If you create a brochure and you're the World Wildlife Organization, maybe your marketing materials in multiple languages. So maybe you create 5 brochures and they're all in different languages. I won't know the difference. You can go to Google Translate and grab it. It could be totally a mess if anybody's ever done Google Translate. Anybody ever done that? Yeah, it's a mess. However, I won't know, but the essence of it will be there, right? And then you will have a spectrum of multilingual materials for a campaign that's worldwide. You see the difference of thinking there? Or you're also going to create a website, and your website can be static or it can be live, depending on what you guys want, but you create all the pages for your website, and you might have a flag in every corner of it for every language the website translates to. The message is there, right? So your question is it going to look like your process book? No, because you're really going to state it very simply. It's going to be more like your team brief in the beginning. Here's our marketing audience. Here's our audience.
Yeah.
Yes, more like your team brief. And then your final beautiful elements of this brand, right? Of this brand and identity and campaign. Yes, sir.
So
Bless you.
So the presentation and the process book are going to be two separate things, right?
Yeah, you've got three things. You're going to have a group team design brief that you're going to pitch to John and I next week. Then you're going to have ultimately, when's it due? Let's go to individual process book link right here. It's going to be due not finals week, but the week before. Your individual process book printed in my hands. Okay, so I can give it back to you later. All right? And during that week, after you've finished your process book, you as a team will get together and create your slideshow presentation. That's your third element. Okay? Nothing else? We may stumble as we move along this, only because I want to make sure that, like everything I want you guys to do, I want it to be really superior, to be honest, because that's what I expect. And I think it only serves you guys professionally, personally. I would love to keep the bar high. None of these process books show the printed final version, but as you know, I love to see the printed final version, right? Photographed. That should be included in everything. Okay. So now what I think the best thing to do is just to get us started, which is here. So after our conversation last week, we kept almost everything and added world wildlife protection, which has to do with wilderness preservation and the reduction of the human impact on the environment. And you can take these as specifically or loosely as you wish, right? So you're going to name the organization, you're going to give it an identity, a logo. You decide if it has, for lack of a better term, if you personify it with a mascot, like TripAdvisor has an owl, right? You could say the mascot. There, and was it Travelocity that had the gnome traveling everywhere? Was that it? Okay, there you go. So you decide. Or again, Progressive Insurance has, what's her name? What is her name? Flo. See, you all know. Okay. See? So Progressive has Flo. So you decide if something's personified or not, and how large you want to make this go. And if you, for example, I have no problem with this. Let's say you wanted to have a Flo in your campaign. I don't care if it's one of you becomes Flo, or you hire a friend to become whatever personification you want. Elicit whatever resources you can from anybody. That's good with me. Yeah? All right. So I think the best thing to do is each of you write down one of those categories on a little piece of paper and give it to John and I. And write your name next to it. Okay? Just tear a scrap of paper, write your name on it, and write choice number 1, choice number 2. And I'm going to organize you all by choice number 1, and then see how everything plays out. How's that?
The choices up there.
Yeah, you got 6 choices.
I'm going to collect them.
Okay, so today we've selected our ad campaign groups, and if you look up ad campaign groups fall 2017, you'll see where you got placed. If you are absent today and you're watching this video, when you come to class, you will be placed in either, well, there's 5 of you, so one of you will be placed in homelessness as the campaign that you work on, and the other 4 of you will pick one campaign to work on. Okay? I think that's the way to do it. And so if we go back to week 10 here, or we just go back to our class website here, you can all get started and be prepared for next week to bring your design brief to the client meeting, which is with John and I. And in that will be all the elements that go into your design brief. Again, it would be everything that we talked about earlier when we started to look up campaigns, like who your target market is. It shows up in so many places. This is what I think I need to fine tune for you guys. But if you simply, let me go back here. If you simply go to, here it is. If you go to the ad campaign and you go to what's included in your process book, and you look at a design brief, like the research, the format, the logo, the refs, all of you know it. Obviously, the more work you put into it, don't just put it on one person's shoulders. Imagine if there's 4 of you in a group and all 4 of you did come at your own personal designs with the logos, and then you come together and share them with one another during this week as you develop your concept and collectively decide who's got the strongest or what can get refined better or who can put a hand in it. That's what's going to make you stronger. I'm not going to micromanage how you come together doing this, but I suggest that everybody share their email and their phone so you can text and you can tweet and you can FaceTime and you can do all that stuff to meet without having to necessarily be on campus, and share with one another, okay? And the person who's not in your group, they'll catch up next time they show up for class. And just come prepared next week to present the foundation of your campaign, the foundation of your logo refs, the foundation of all the elements to your campaign, all of your approach, your market research, again, everything that we talked about today. All right, is there any questions for that? You guys will go dig into all those websites that tell you what to define. Okay. And okay, I lost that. All right, so that's what you're going to come prepared with next week. You can use class time today because you have till 8 o'clock, so you have an hour and a half if you want to knock whatever you can out and work together. And next week, I'd like to say that I know it's Halloween. How many of you show up at class for Halloween? Raise your hands. Okay, raise your hands if you're going to bail on us. Okay, you're going to bail on us?
Yeah.
Why? Okay, because you're giving out candy at home.
Yeah.
And you give out candy at like 4 o'clock or something?
Yeah, I'm up
5
in the
o'clock?
valley.
What's that?
I'm up in the valley.
Oh, you are? Okay. So that means if you're bailing on us, that means you need to be prepared with your team to give them all the resources they need without you here. For those of you who are coming, I'm glad I'll be here. John will be here. I'll give you all candy, okay? And I'll let you all decide how you want to use the evening. Your meeting with John and I'm suspecting will be, we all
Open
talk.
bar.
What's that?
It'll be an open bar.
Yeah, bar. I'm suspecting it won't be that long, maybe 15 minutes, right? Maybe not. And then you can use the rest of the time for the evening to meet. Or if all of you would really much rather go to a party, I don't know what your lives are like. My daughter really told me, she says, Mom, I can't believe that you're going to have class on Halloween. And I said, I'd cancel it, but time is precious for all of you. If I cancel it, you'd miss a big window to move things forward. And I don't want you to miss that. So let's
Halloween is Santa Barbara's greatest religious holiday.
Well, I know it is. And that's why I'm really saying to you, come. I will be here. John will be here. Please be here. Don't let your teammates down. And we will, after you've presented to us, if you want to split, you can split. And we'll draw straws at the beginning of class of it's only 3 groups, right? We only have 3 groups so far, or 4 groups? It's 3 and going to be 4. So we only have 3 groups next week to present. So you're not going to be here that late if you don't wish to be. But you will have to make the time on your own time, okay? Fair enough? Alrighty. All right, so then I'm going to stop talking and let you guys do your thing, and we'll see you next week. You can